internet, what is going on? Welcome to a potentially blurry Gekko gaming. Yep, the internet is 50-50, and so it is what it is. I hope that you guys managed to enjoy this content regardless. The interview is going to be in audio. You guys can chill. We're probably just going to put, like, I don't know, let's put this awesome little thing on the screen. Bam! For the Kingdom of ANUBIS while we talk to ARK. ARK was one of the players in the Osiris League team that won Season 2. We have him on the line. We'll bring him up in a moment. If you guys enjoy this content, make sure you're dropping likes on the stream and, of course, subscribing to the channel. For those of you asking, we're arranging also an interview with HKL. That's right. They are coming to the channel very soon, so you don't want to miss out on that as well. And if you feel like leaving me some comments for them, some questions for them, as well as questioning anything, asking any question to ARK, the chat is open for you guys to do it, as well as down below in the description, you can leave questions for HKL, and hopefully we'll get some of them out to them soon. I don't know yet when it's happening, but it's going to happen for sure. Let's, hold on a second. Let's bring on ARK to the chat, to the stream. ARK, are you here with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Quite nice to meet you, bro. Nice to talk to you.
Same here. Thank you very much for taking the time to chill with us today and answer a few questions because, man, you guys are the champions of ANUBIS. That's crazy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so first and foremost, chat, let us know if there's any audio issues, if you guys hear them okay and all that stuff. Let's jump straight into it really quickly. 411k, a kingdom that I've witnessed doing massive damage during a KVK. You guys really went ham on that KVK. That was a little bit before the beginning of Osiris League season, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We were in KVK 52, right?
Mm-hmm. I covered some of that, I believe. I saw.
Yeah.
I saw you guys going on a 3v1 against M8R. And of course, Osiris League kind of started as that was going on. You guys managed to get through that, and now in here. How long was the 411k team working as a team for Osiris League? When did this team start?
Actually, the original members in 1411, there are only half of them in the Osiris League team. So another half came to 1411 just about 1 month before the started.
Yeah, so half of the team came in about about a month before the league started, and that was folks from Kingdom 52, right? That was half of them are XOV players.
Actually, there's only a few of them from XOV, and other players from other kingdoms. So many of them are personally good friends. So we come together to play the KVK and also the Osiris League.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I know that, the crazy thing is, as we all know, Osiris League Season 1 OV took that with them, and I believe Aki, I don't want to mispronounce his name, Aki or Aki, I apologize if I said your name wrong.
Aki. Yeah.
Aki came in from there, one of your, an R4 in your alliance, and he was leading the charge on this team, kind of building it up, helping with the strategy and all that, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. People trying to say that 1411k is another small OV, but actually we don't quite agree with that. Actually, only like nine members from XOV came here with Aki. Yes, Aki bring us a lot of new strategies, but you know that it is new team with 30 players, not only 10 players. So it's quite different. Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad thing, right?
Yeah, it's really good. Actually, before that, we didn't have Aki and we didn't have those old players. We always lose our matches almost every time. So we thought about that. Maybe we don't have enough good commander, have enough troops. Maybe that's the problems. But actually, after we talked to Aki, and we find out that no, the strategy is the most important thing, and the coordination is also very important in the whole team.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I feel like bringing Aki from an alliance that has done it before with all the experience, knowing how to set up the strategy, how what works and what doesn't work, it's kind of like any other thing in the world. You want to bring someone who is experienced in something to teach
Yes,
the generation, right?
yes, that's right.
No, that's cool.
But Aki also said that our strategy is now different from the old ones. We set the new strategies according to our players.
Yeah, that makes sense. You don't
So
you want to keep continually renewing the strategy and innovating and all that good
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, because many players can get used to the old strategies. They would like to try something new, and they would like to find some new good ways to win the match. So I think, yeah, we have a very
Yeah,
nice almost every day.
practiced every day. That,
Yeah, almost every day. We have a small chat room with like 35 members. We talk
mm-hmm.
about the strategies, and everyone could share their opinions, their thoughts. So, yeah,
So
I think
that
that's a
that was
key
kind of
to.
my next question here is like how much did you guys prepare for this? What kind of preparation did you do? Did you guys go more with like commander pairing tests, rally tests? Did you guys now that you have practice
Yes.
sessions too, that changes the game, right? But what are the things that you guys focused on when you started preparing the team?
Um, at first, we started from commanders pairing, of course, because we share all the screenshots of every member's commanders, how many level 60
Mm-hmm.
commanders, and we think about how to pair. And the pairing is depending on which positions are you in. For example, if you are going to play the defense commanders, if you are going to attack, if you are going to protect the ARK, so it's quite different.
So you guys started with screenshots of who has what out of what all of
Yes.
411K, or did you predetermine the 30 players that are playing and then set up a rules?
Actually, we have a very old strategy that we separate all these members into three teams,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the members to that kind of strategy, they didn't feel well. They cannot find their own position or their own role in the game. So we change. Some of the players move to the mid. Some of the players move to the weak side defenders. So I can't remember how many changes we've made, but quite a lot, I think.
Yeah, and did you have like, as you mentioned, people switched positions and all that. So was there
Yep.
like a predetermined role that everybody had, but also a backup in case something went wrong? They knew, okay, we need to go help here, we need to go help there.
Um, that is a quite old strategy that we are not working together very well, so we change the positions quite often. But
Cool.
when time goes by and we find out that we have something, we don't need to communicate, we know what we have to do, and then we find out that, oh, everybody got their own role in the game. That's fine, that's really good, and we can set our leaders to call how members should move, how troops should move, how when we should attack, when we should defense, when we should switch the reinforcements teams. So I think it is a step-by-step procedure. We have to take time, so we have to practice, and then we got this. Yeah.
So, of course, we're not trying to get all the information, right? We still have Osiris Invitational to come, and you and I are going to meet each other on the opposite sides of the field at some point. So, the question is a bit more broad for you to choose how far you want to go with it. But could you kind of walk the chat through what was your overall approach to the strategy? Like what are some things that within your strategy that you recognize that potentially is something that you're good at, that your opposition is bad at? Kind of can you walk us kind of through not all your strategy, but a few things that you think that would make other community members better Osiris League players?
Okay, so I think there are several keys. very important things. First thing is that you have to be friends with your members, with your players. That is very important. Many of you guys would say that, oh, there are also else in 1411, maybe also in other alliances, in other kingdoms. There are a lot of strong players, but it is a team with 30 members. So we have to be friends. We have to have very nice talk, very nice communications, and we have to let others understand your idea. And you need to also accept other members' suggestions. So this is the first thing we need to do. And the second thing is when you're going to talk about a strategy, you have to go down into the details because you have 30 members, 30 players. So each of the players will have 5 marches. And so you have 150 marches. With 150 marches, what should these people do? So you should think about the detail, not just this guy go to the left side, this guy to go to the mid, another guy go to the right. It's quite vague. It's not clear. So the second thing is about the detail. And the last thing is about the coordination. So we have two leaders in both sides. So Aki is in the right team. I'm in the left team, so I'm the leader in the left team. So I will make call to all of the 15 members in the left team. Once I call, I have to make sure that they understand me, and of course, my call should be right. If I made a wrong call, the game will be ruined by me. So yes, the coordination is very important. And I think the last thing is that you have to believe your. If you are going to say that I need you there to protect this ARK, I need you there to protect the outpost. After you say that, you have to believe that your members could do that. Sometimes people would say that
you have to have trust.
Yeah, the trust is very, very important. Yeah, we have a lot of practice before the games almost every day. From Monday to Friday, we have different target, different purpose in each practicing match. Sometimes we practice defense and attack. Sometimes we practice, or sometimes we do some tests on which commander is good, which commander is bad. So yeah, I think I've listed a lot of important things.
Tyler Zimmerman actually asked a very cool question in the chat, and he said, if someone wants to get into potentially into your Alliance's ARK team, someone who's not part of that 30 players who are currently there, of course, next season still has some time to come. We have a Cyrus Invitational coming up, but if there is a situation in which you guys would potentially change players in and out or something like that, have you guys thought about what are things that a future player should have in order to qualify for the team, or what is something that you're looking for that potentially could be enough to even replace someone in the team?
For now, we haven't think about replace any players. We are still enjoying the victory, and we are, because you know that after each KVK, a lot of members will leave, and a lot of new players will join our alliance. That's quite usual. So I think if I would like to choose a new member in our team, I think, of course, the commanders is very basic. It is a minimum requirement. We need that commanders. For example, you need to max the YSG, you need to max the Richard, for example, like that. And the next thing is we have to do a very nice talk to that guy, and we have to make sure that he can devote a lot of time on practicing, and he can devote a lot of time on our discussion about our strategies. I think everybody has the potential. Yeah.
So, as I mentioned, you guys had a little bit of well, I guess you guys had an interesting run in the playoffs. If we go take a quick peek on the stream right here, you really had, I'm not going to say struggle, right? Because it's not a matter of a struggle, but you did have some very tough matches. Looking at your side,
Yes.
4,000 point difference with the LIIG, 2,000, 3,000 points with the NBA one, a very close final. The folks of FN had one of their matches along the way that was a bit closer, but most of them were 5,000 plus point difference. Which one of these matches, in your opinion, was the toughest match of them all?
I think with NBA one, the
NBA one?
semifinal. Yeah.
What makes you say that? What is it about NBA one that maybe caught you guys off guard or was something that you guys did not expect?
It's quite interesting that I have a lot of personal friends in NBA one, other in the second KVK. We know each other very well, and we know that their commanders are super good, and their powers are super strong, and they have some very nice strategies. I mean, during the game, a lot of things happened. We lost one ARK. I think we lost the second ARK, and sometimes our for example, like our shrines and our outposts and our forts are surrounded by a lot of troops, and their attacking pace is really fast. So we don't have much time to think about. They have a mistake, we should catch that mistake and let them pay. We didn't even have the time to think about it. They just push and push. So it's really hard work to do. And after that match, we changed a little bit on our strategy, and we found out that we made some mistake. We can do better. So yeah, it's a very nice match. Really hard to win.
What's a piece of strategy that someone employed on you guys where you guys were like, what the heck do we do against this? Like, what was something that any of these teams that you faced did that caught you guys off guard in a sense? If anything.
I think everybody knows that the capturing the ARK is very important in the game. Mm-hmm. And some teams use a lot of members focusing on the ARK protecting, but we realize that if you put so many troops only focusing on the ARK, that's a huge problem, because if you cannot hold the both sides, if you cannot defend very well, you will never catch the ARK. Because the whole game is just like 150 troops moving around all over this map.
Yeah.
And if you lose one part, there is a connection between this part and the middle lane. If you lose, for example, if you lose a weak side on the left-hand side, you might not have enough troops to go to the mid and capture the ARK. That's a very big problem. Sometimes, for example, when we were facing NBA 1, we have a we have a great pressure on the left-hand side and also on the right-hand side. At that time, if you continue to use a lot of troops to attack, you will find out that you are struggling, and you will lose your own pace, and you will lose your troops to supporting the mid. So that's a very serious problem. So at this time, you should focusing maybe only on defending your own structures, defending your forts, defending your shrines very well, and only use your rollies to attack, not a lot of your rollies and attack, and use those troops and put them in the mid. Just defend your structures very well, and you will find out that, oh, maybe we can win this game. So I think the leaders should pay attention to your enemy strategies and analyze the movements of your opponents, and then make a call and make sure that all your members listen to your call and you take the actions, which means that you take the responsibility and your members listen to you and we act together. Then we win the match.
And you just led me straight into pretty much the next question, which was, did you guys do any opposition research? Meaning, did you guys watch your opposition matches? Did you have someone perhaps recording matches that were happening while you guys were playing? how much research did you put into your opposition strategies, or any, if any, at all?
I think quite a lot. We we watch the videos every time after one match, and we watch all of the videos of our opponents. Um, Interesting thing is we find out that after we enter the semifinal, we find out that most of the teams have quite similar strategies. So how to win this is a very big problem. At that time, we think that if we have the same strategy, maybe some other players will also think that if we have the same strategy, we have the similar strategy, how can we win? Does it mean that the commanders determine who will win this game, or the power determines who will win the game? But the fact is, it is not about commanders. It is not about the power. So if you would like to win this game when you're facing a very strong opponent, you have to, I think, you have to think about more details in the game, because something will change in the game you wouldn't expect before. So yes, we did a lot of research on that.
And when we're talking about teams that you faced, what's a mistake that you've noticed? You said, like you mentioned, most people, what end up happening with teams is that they go and watch last season's winners, OV. They watch the interview. They watch all the top teams playing ARK, because a big majority of them end up getting casted, and they end up formulating the same exact kind of a strategy, right? But what is a weak point, or that you guys found that was in an opposition strategy that you guys managed to exploit, to essentially be able to take an upper leg on something? And it doesn't have to necessarily be, you know, like at the finals or semifinals and all that. But what was something that you guys noticed that was a flaw in the majority's strategy?
So I think I have to say that each of the team have their own advantages and disadvantages. Advantages is that we focusing on the speed of the matches. We want to push up the speed of the match. So we won't use for example, if we are going to have some open field battles, we won't let too many Richard and Constantine go to that battlefield. We would like to use YSG and Sid maybe, and we would like to use Alex. We would like to use Charlie Smarto, because they move really fast. If you move really fast, you can quickly to support your rollies. You can quickly to reinforce. You can quickly to move to the mid. So I think for 1411K, we focus on the speed of the matches. But I don't know the strategies of other teams. Maybe they're focusing on defending. Maybe they're focusing on the cavalry marches, because they have very high attacks. So yeah, I think we have our advantages. We just maximize our advantages, and we just follow our strategies.
So you're talking more about keeping an eye on pace of the match, on timing things,
Yes.
and on the
Yes.
pace that the opposition plays, as it plays essentially a factor into how you will play your match, because you need to know what kind of a pace the other team is playing in. That makes sense. How did you guys kind of time your plays, in the sense that I'm not looking to get your exact times for everything you do. You know, at the end of the day, we're gonna end up meeting very soon, and Chad already thinks that I'm here to get opposition research, which is fairly hysterical. But what's an indication on a map for you when you see a match happening and you see something happening on the map? Is there something that happens on the map that is an indication for you this is a good time to do something specific in the match? For example, you see that that there's a lot of forces coming down towards your desert altar, and they're failing at taking the desert altar. That means that currently that side might be a bit weaker on open field presence. So maybe that's your cue to essentially know you should rally their Shrine of War and send some swarms out there. Are there any cues in matches that you guys kept an eye on that might be interesting for people to keep an eye on in the future?
Yes. So you have to catch up the pace. At the beginning of this match, you have to look at you have to move your screen to your opponent to see how many troops they put in the mid, how many troops they put on the weak side, how many troops they put on the strong side. So after you see that, for example, in our finals, I made several very important calls at the beginning. At the beginning, like 3 minutes, I saw that they put about like 10 members straight towards our strong side. And at that time, I know that they were focused on the strong side because ARK was there. ARK is attacking their weak side, which means we focus on our. They think that our strong side is super strong, so they have to put more members towards against our strong side. So I'm at the weak side. So my decision is those guys who are going to focus on the mid lane in 5 minutes, go to the weak side, help me protect my forts, and I will launch the rally. I will let my members launch the rally, and I will ask about 10 members go straight towards their shrine. When they arrive at the shrine, at that time our my rally has already reached that shrine, so we can surround that shrine and we can get that shrine. But at that time, I also saw that they put a lot of people, very like 10 infantry troops to reinforce that shrine, and I think that maybe we will take like 5 minutes to get that shrine, but in 3 minutes we have to in position in the mid because the ARK will be there in 5 minutes. So I said, stop everyone, go to the mid, leave the shrine, leave the shrine, go to the mid and protect the ARK. So I think after you looking at and analyze the information in the map, and you will make this kind of decision. It's very important. The layout of the map. Because, for example, we were in the red team, right? In the final, we were in the right-hand side of the map, and we only take about 2 minutes to set a rally. Strong side obelisk. But if we send another rally to the left-hand side obelisk, we need about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So we take more time to our weak side. We take less time to our strong side.
Gotcha. Yeah, I had muted my microphone on the chat for a second because I wanted to make sure things are okay and didn't want everybody to hear the clicks. I asked chat what's the stronger side, weaker side, because some of you guys were not really were a bit confused by it. So that was the question right there. And speaking of strong side and weak side, one of the questions that was asked here in the chat was what are some strengths and weaknesses that you guys are currently working on? So obviously we're not looking again for the weak points to beat you or something, but what is something that out of this league you recognize is something you want to work on to improve, not only for Invitational but in general for next season? And what is something that you guys did very, very well that you feel like other teams should try to figure out how to beat?
I think the coordination.
The coordination was the strong side?
Yeah.
And
Both
what's
sides.
something that you...
Both sides.
Oh, both sides. So
the coordination of both sides. Because when you see that your enemy, your opponents put too many troops on one side, and your side you have to move, because sometimes a lot of people think that maybe we are in the weak side, so we should always defend, not attack. But when your opponents put a lot of troops on the other side, your weak side should also attack. So the coordination is very important when you set a core, and your weak side will also attack.
Yeah, so in a sense, what you're saying is coordination is not only the strong suit where you guys knew exactly where you want to be based on what your opposition is doing, but also that's something that you guys want to work on even further, because there are some potential flaws in there that you recognized are worth polishing down further, right?
Yes, correct.
Do you think counter rallies are a viable thing in Ark of Osiris?
No, I don't think counter rally is good, because if you have that time to launch a rally, so you have 1 minute, and this rally will take another minute to reach your opponent's rally, right? So you will use 2 minutes. Most of the time, you will use cavalry rallies. If you have these 2 minutes to launch a rally and make this rally reach your battlefield, you can send your 5 marches straight towards your battlefield, and it only takes you about 1.5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think a counter rally is quite useful.
Yeah, I make the same argument. I feel like counter rally is just a way to essentially get a bunch of marches under the same two commanders, and essentially the marches that are under the same two commanders just don't have their own commanders to put their abilities onto the field. So while it is
Yeah.
1.5 versus 1.5, I think it's better to have those 1.5 and 300,000 marches on the field with 10 commanders worth of skills rather than
Yeah.
two.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. What's something that you guys could give the community as a tip that that you think nobody would have thought of? Kind of, it can be from take a look at this commander and figure out how you can implement it, to take a look at the type of troops you're sending to a specific scenario.
I think if one team would like to do better in future games, I know that a lot of players would preset a lot of combinations of cards, 5 marches. But depending on different situations, you should set more combinations. When you're going to defense, you will set these kind of combinations of the 5 marches. But if you're
Ah,
going to attack, you should set another 5 combinations of marches.
interesting.
So it is very important. You have to see how the game changes and change your combinations.
So utilize more presets. That's actually a mistake I made
Yes.
as well. I utilized only 5 presets, and probably the better idea would have been to utilize 10, if not 15 of them, to be able to send the specific things on on whichever scenario you're in.
Yeah, and it is also about the timing. For example, if I'm the guy who is going to so if we are facing a lot of pressures from the enemy, and at this time I will use 4 infantry troops, 1 cavalry troops to join the rally. So I will continuously reinforce my forts to keep my force in a good health. But if it is a time for the mid lane, we have to go to the mid lane to protect our ARK. So at that time, I will use only 2 infantry march, 1 infantry march in the reinforced forts. The other 4 troops will go to the mid, and I have to make sure that those 4 marches moves really fast.
Mm-hmm. Um, interesting. You kind of gave me an idea now. Huh. Well, I guess there's good thing there's ARK this weekend to test some stuff up on. This is
Yeah.
a question I actually had written down to you, and Chad asked it at the same time, which is cool. How did you guys divide your team, in the sense that a lot of teams do 10, 10, 10. Some folks do 8, 12, 8. And of course, you don't got to go into too many details. And to follow up on that question is also, do you guys use one Discord room for all 30? Do you divide into the groups in your Discord? Or do you even use voice for that matter?
Um, we have 2 Discord chat rooms during the game. So we have a weak side team and strong side team. So we only have 2 chat rooms.
Okay.
We didn't follow strictly the, for example, like 10-10-10 divisions. We don't follow that because you have to make use of all of the 150 matches in the whole game. You cannot set 10 players just stay in the mid and protect the ARK, but the ARK will respawn. Only these players will be useful when the ARK is respawned. But what if there is no ARK in the mid? What should they do? That is a problem. If you set 10-10-10, and I don't think, I think if you strictly focus on that.
Oh, Discord loves doing that. Let's see, I think we lost ARK there for a moment. ARK, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
You got cut off there in the middle. To follow up on that question, is someone asked, how do you guys communicate between the two chat rooms? Like, do you guys hop between the rooms all the time?
No. We don't do that. Because on Discord is when we are in the game, we cannot change to another room. We focus on our game. So we have only two chat rooms. So I'm the leader of the weak side room, and Aki. I talk to Aki quite a lot, and we know what should we do in the game. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you guys are divided into two, and by the time that division happens, you and Aki are already synced and kind of know, in case this happens, then I need to communicate certain things in my room that might affect the other room.
Exactly. Yeah. Because we know our protecting the ARK, we will try our best to protect the ARK, but before that, we have to make sure that we defend really well. So we know what we should do. So we don't need to communicate during the game. So we just set our calls. So Aki call their members, I call my members on the weak side. So then we work together. Yeah.
What's something about Ark of Osiris that you think should change?
I don't know. It's a really hard question for me.
Doesn't
I think
have
most
to
of
be.
the time,
Maybe saying I have no clue. I like the match is fair enough.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know how to answer that either, to be honest.
For now, I think a lot of people realize that there are a lot of bugs in the game. Yes, I recognize that, and we found out that a lot of players, not only our use a bug. So I don't think that should be happen in the game. And I also talked to the GM, and they said, yes, we will make sure that in the future we don't have any bugs in the game. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a topic that I didn't want to bring up because, quite frankly, it's a controversial one, right? To an extent, as long as there is a developer team that sets the stage for an event and leaves a loophole, I can't blame anyone or anything for using that loophole, right? To an extent, whether people like it or not, when you're on the losing side of a loophole, it's like, these guys are crazy, these guys are cheaters, these guys are that. But at the same time, I doubt that most people who say that, if they knew before, wouldn't have also taken advantage of the situation. So to say, it's why I don't give that much attention or any I didn't talk about this bug that much. A lot of folks think that Lilith told us not to say anything. I already saw that comment in the chat. Complete BS. A lot of people think that it's a matter of wanting to. It's not that. The thing is, it was a bug in the game, just like every other bug in the world in any other game. People are jumping mountains with flags left and right, which is a huge bug in the game that still exists. So any single person who has hopped a flag over a mountain, spoiler alert, every single one of you guys did. You're abusing a bug as well. So yeah, I don't know about all that. Michelle, Drago can confirm whatever he wants. The matter of the fact is, I asked them what's going on with this. They never told me a single thing about not talking about this at all. I choose not to talk about it because we all, every single person in the world outside of Rise of Kingdoms as well as inside of Rise of Kingdoms will use any advantage in a competition to win the competition. And it sucks. We can say the same exact thing about, hey, we should be mad. We lost to OV by 1,500 points last season. How can we know they didn't use the bug? They did use the bug. It's like everybody can be mad about it. But at the end of the day, Lilith took responsibility. What can we do? What are we going to do about it? If they decide that they're not going to cancel the season, they made the decision they made, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? You want me to start rioting here until I don't get kicked out of the game or something, or until I was like, what do you want us to do, right? Quite frankly, you jump a mountain, it's the same exact thing as using a bug. It's the same exact thing as folks who used the hell out of the commander sculptures that they got because there was an error in the game when they sent twice the rewards for ARK. Some folks did use the commander heads. Now they're negative. Why did you use them if you know it's a bug? Because the same reason. So that's my opinion on this thing. And I don't blame if you got. I'm not saying you guys did use it. I'm not saying you guys didn't use it. I don't care, because if I would have found any advantage to take advantage of, I would. Period. And so would every single person who wants to win in a competition. That's how it goes. And so let's come back into Ark of Osiris, right? We've finally addressed the elephant in the room. What's the goal for next season?
You mean our goal for next season?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we'd like to have another champion. We will try our best. So just as usual, we'll practice hard. We will think about our strategies, and we will maybe win every match. I hope so. Yeah.
Well, regarding arcs, arcs have this very weird scenario, right? Because some folks tend to go for the first, second, third arc. Other folks give up on the first one, but then go for the second and third. What's your opinion on strategy of arc? Do you think every arc should be contested? Do you think that perhaps the first arc, if the situation in the building plays, that if you recognize a situation where you can give up on the arc, but then you'll win the building game for sure, is that a viable thing to do? What is something that what do you think about the arcs in the game in general? Arc strategy.
I think the basic thing is you have to protect your own buildings very well. For the arcs, all of the arcs is very important. Not only the first one or the last one. All of the arcs are very important. Even though when you are in a bad situation and you might lose an arc, but you have to make your opponents pay. If you would like to take the arc, you have to make them pay.
Interesting.
I think that's my opinion. Yeah.
What do you think about arc holding? Holding on to instead of instantly delivering it?
I think we haven't think about these strategies quite a lot because it is all about timing. When you are holding your arc and you have to send troops to protect your arc, and then you also need to send troops to attack and also defense. I don't know that. I think we didn't try these strategies.
Okay, that makes sense. Fair enough. You didn't try it. There's no opinion on it, right? It makes sense. What's something that you remember? What's a memorable big mistake you guys made that almost lost you the match, or was critical enough that you guys like? So one of the things I keep talking about on stream as well as on casts, and it happened to us in JWM2 against HKL, is there are certain mistakes that are kind of like a snowball. When they happen, the snowball starts rolling down, and unless you manage to stop it very quickly, it just grows and grows, and just that's what defeats you essentially. Was there at some point in any of these matches a big mistake you guys made that was critical and you feel like and you somehow overcame it? Is there something like that you remember?
Yes, I think I have to say two things. I think
Cool.
those are two big mistakes. But the first mistake is that I found out that sometimes our rallies have reached the opponent's structure. For example, our rally, but there is no protecting marches following this rally. It doesn't mean that there is no players going to support our rally, but it means that we are not in the same pace. Sometimes our open field marches arrive at the shrine earlier than the rally. I think that is okay, but sometimes your rally go faster than other troops. That is really bad because your rally can be swarmed really quickly by enemies. So the only thing is coordination. When you set up a rally, you have to make sure that your open field troops has already on the way to your enemy. So I think this is a first mistake I realized in early games. And the second mistake is some people are going to say that when you're defending a structure, for example, defending your force on the weak side, and some people will see the report after this match and they blame on players that why you send in these forts. You see that your defending commander is Richard and Constantine. You have to send infantry troops in that. And I think that is a stereotype. It's not a very good idea. It depends on the situations. For example, if you are holding your structure very well, you shouldn't send any other troops except infantry troops in your building. That is correct. But what if there are a lot of enemies swarming your buildings at the same time, but you do not have enough infantry troops to put in that building? What should you do? I think at this time, we should put any kind of troops into that building to hold as long as much possible. I think that is a very, very important thing. You have to make different decisions according to different situations.
So on top of keeping an eye on pace, you also need to be a bit more dynamic. You need to understand that certain situations require for certain things. Not everything is predetermined.
Yes. Everything will change in the game. Yeah.
At what point during the Osiris League did you guys of course, when you come into the league, we came into the league, everybody did, and it's like, oh, we're going to do our best. Some teams coming in saying we're going to make it to the playoffs. Others say we're going to make it to the top 4. When did you guys realize maybe we can win this thing?
I don't know. I think we don't have that kind of thoughts from the beginning. We don't even know that we will reach the finals. But every time we try really hard. I can't say that when we know that we will be the champion, we don't know.
Okay. Even at the finals, that you came in thinking that, this is a tough match. You guys didn't come in thinking we got this?
No. Even in the final, we don't know that we will win. And every day I'm thinking that maybe if we made a mistake and we will lose a match, anything would be possible. So we have to, every match you should treat it like your last match. I think that is best attitude in your match.
I definitely agree. It's some situations, folks get a little bit ahead of themselves to a point where it can be harmful, right? But at some point, there can't be. It's no way that you didn't have. Because I'll tell you this as a personal example. In JWM2, our target was top 16. And then when we made it to top 16, we said, okay, maybe we can make it to top 4. And then to top 8. And then we did. And then I was like, okay, maybe we can make it to top 4. And we did. At that point, I personally myself said to myself, a potential final is in the play. And that's what I mean. Like, I don't necessarily mean that you knew for sure you'd win. But what was the point specifically maybe for you when the thought of we might actually be able to win this came into your head for the first time?
I really don't know.
That's okay.
I really don't know.
That's
because
fine.
I think every team is very good. Every team is really good and they have their advantages. So
I agree.
I don't know. I think the key to the winning is for us is like I think we have better communication. Maybe we have more practices. I think this is the only key to the win.
Cool. Chat, this is the time for you guys to ask questions. I've been involving questions from you guys throughout this whole interview because some of you asked some really, really cool questions. And this is the time. If you guys have any comments, any questions, anything, we'll open it up to you guys. I do have a couple of more of my own, but while you guys come up with a couple of interesting things to ask, is there anything you want to add about, first of all, to your alliance, to your kingdom, to the community? It is 411 recruiting. What's going on with you guys? How is the post celebration going?
I think the celebration is really nice, and people are really happy about winning this game. Oh, and there's another thing that my members told me that I have to say in this stream. It's very interesting because we heard from that, in the final games, 411K has many healing troops, a lot of healing troops. But I have to say that it's very interesting that in this game, we couldn't get any points from healing our troops. But we have very important, very interesting rule that we know that it is our final. And we talk to all our players that you must heal your troops in 30 minutes in the half game. You need to heal your troops.
All of them?
Yes, all of them. Just to make sure that in the last 10 minutes of this game, you don't need to heal your troops and you got really nervous and you will make some mistakes. So in 30 minutes, we ask our members to heal our troops.
You know, it's funny. One of the questions that I wrote down that I kind of skipped is one that Chad is asking right now. And it's all about one of my favorite parts of Ark of Osiris, provisioning. How did you guys set up your provisioning strategy, if at all? Do you find provisioning to be something that is important, less important? How do you guys look at provisioning?
Provisioning is very important, and we set several players focusing on provisioning. Like each of them sends 3 troops, only go farming. So you can also see that if you got an even game, like your enemy's really strong opponents played really well, and you got 1 ARK, and your opponents get another ARK, and you both sides hold your own structures very well. I think at that time, the provisioning decides who will win.
Agree. So you said that you guys had specific players whose job was at least three marches provisioning rather than everybody 1 march out?
Yeah.
Okay. I personally don't necessarily like that just because, and that's my personal opinion, of course, is just because the better gathering commanders to get your best bang out of your buck is probably Joan with a Constance, right? Because that Constance will give you some sweet extra resources. But then there's only 1 per person, right? So I don't know. Of course, your strategy is your strategy. We have a situation in which multiple people sent 1 march out, which was the optimal march. That way we'd get a little bit of extra points, but clearly that wasn't enough against HAL. Let's see what else we got here. Do you think it's unfair for some alliances or kingdoms to have access to specific commanders mid-league? Because I'm pretty confident that happened, right? We had a situation. Actually, I'm not pretty confident. I'm very confident. For us, for example, the way in Kingdom 59 the wheel rotation works is generic 3 commanders. Other folks have commander, generic 2 commanders, and then 2 generic 1, and then 3 and 1. And so what ended up happening is our Ramses came out on the second wheel, and folks like Kingdom 93, for example, who have the commander generic 2 commanders set up, had him available ahead of us. Did you guys run into any of those scenarios?
I don't think so. Actually, I think in most of the teams, commander is not the big problem, even though you have less good commanders than the other teams. I think more important, coordination is more important than the commanders, and Yes, you might see that you will see a lot of good like second generation or third generation commanders on the field. You might have some pressures on your mind, but I don't think that will determine who will win or who will lose. I think yes, it is important, but in these games, every alliance, every team is really strong, and I don't think the commanders difference is quite big in our games. So yes, and as I said before, that when you're going to defense, you will use these kind of combinations, and if you're going to attack, you will use another. I think it all depends on the situations you will meet.
Okay, and someone asked about if you guys used sieges at all, or a mix between cavalry, between types of troops in certain scenarios, or are we still keeping with the meta of one type of troop marches, period?
For me, I don't use mixed troops, and because I hate the mixed troops moving so slow. I like troops to moving really fast, so I only use pure infantry, pure cavalry, and pure archers. So line players, they might use mixed troops because they would like to use aerial flare to debuff the enemies. But for me, I don't use that because I pair my aerial with Saladin. So I choose this because Saladin has some slowdown skills, and it will pair with aerial flare, and this combination can also move really fast. And Saladin, if you are going to protect your rallies to go against the enemies trying to attack their buildings, I think Saladin is also really good. So
interesting.
yeah.
I actually like to pair in ARK. Saladin, not Saladin. Wow, people are talking about Wu. I almost said Wu. Ethelfled with Minamoto lead, kind of for the same reasons, but you're saying you're going with Saladin for slowdowns, while I went with Minamoto for a little bit of extra damage, and that arc cavalry tree, having him as primary rather than Ethelfled, means that I can utilize that cavalry speed out of that too. But that's cool. That's an interesting combination. Again, you don't have to answer this. This is a question that I didn't ask because I feel like it's going to be kind of like a trade secret. But is there any unusual commander pairings that you feel like folks are not thinking about enough?
I don't think that is a secret. I can share some of it, but only for me because I use some unusual combinations in my game.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm going, so I need a lot of infantry troops to reinforce my building. I will take out my infantry troops from the building and put a fresh new infantry team in that building. So I need all of these infantry troops to move really fast.
Okay.
So after I take out my old infantry teams from this building, I won't send them home. I will use those low health infantry team to swarm the enemy's rally. So I pair Alex with Hannibal, so it can debuff. So
cool.
Yes, and sometimes when I'm going to attack the enemy's shrine, for example, I will use 2 infantry teams to protect my rally to go against. I will use Charlie's and YSG because once we successfully get the enemy's shrine, I can put my Charlie's Martel in that building and hold as long as possible. So it all depends on your situation. If you're going to defend, you can do the combinations as I do. But if you're going to protect the ARK, I want to use those combinations. I will use maybe Alex plus Martel because they move really fast. I can reinforce mid lane just in like 1 minute. It's really nice. And I will also send Elcid and YSG to the mid lane because they move really. They also move really fast and reach the mid lane and do the damage, do the AoE damage, and then go back home in just 30 seconds. It's really nice combination. And the other 2 troops I might use Khan and Cao Cao, and maybe Saladin with Aether or Saladin auto. So if I'm going to support the mid lane, I will choose the troops who moves really fast. If I'm going to defend, I will use debuff. I will use more infantry teams.
Okay, well, first of all, a lot of the things you said here is interesting because one of the videos that is coming up very soon to the channel is a little bit of insight on how on specific things that JWM and JWM2 did in Ark of Osiris this season. And one of those things you really pointed out as well, which is when you're defending a building, the type of troops that you're sending is important, but
Yeah.
the types of commanders that you're sending is not very important so long as there's a captain that has the correct types of commanders. So utilizing your extra commanders and pairing them in a way that suiciding your troops to go back home will make it a little bit painful for the enemy. Sounds just about right.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we have here. That anything else the chat says, or maybe something that I forgot that I wrote down. Charles, it's crazy how Charles Martel came back to life, right? I don't know how long you've been playing this game. You were native to 4.11, so you started at 4.11.
Actually, I'm not, but I came here before the first KVK, so kind of like an old player in 4.11K.
Okay, yeah, because I was gonna say it's one of the first commanders that I expertised after Yi Song-ye and Richard was Charles Martel. And in the early game, Charles and Richard were really, really good because everybody was going cavalry, right? And that was the counter. Yeah. But then Charles died off as soon as Saladin and Takeda came out and Genghis Khan came out. Charles went out the window. And I was a bit upset with myself that I expertised them because I did spend Legendary Commander Sculptures on them. I was a noob back then. But all of a sudden, because of Attila Takeda, Charles Martel got a little bit of a spotlight as Charles and Constantine currently seem to be doing the better they were doing the better holding up against Attila Takeda. Do you think that what other commanders in the game you think that are potentially that lost their spotlight, that are unused, but can very easily be implemented back into Ark of Osiris, if not into a war situation?
Okay, so let me take Richard and Charles, for example. So if you're in a KVK, I would strongly suggest Charles Martel. Mm-hmm. It's much better than Richard because when troops dead, how many troops wounded. So if you use Charles Martel, you will have a shield, so you will have less dead troops. But if you use Richard, after you healing your troops, those troops will be dead for another second. So I don't suggest any healing Garrison commanders in KVK, but in Osiris League, I think healing is really good. You can hold as long as much possible.
Yeah, the longer the troops last, the better.
Yes. And another thing for the defending, it's like every time people will set one guy who has the best defending commander, Richard and Wu, putting the force as the primary and secondary commanders leading the protection. But sometimes he need to refresh his troop, right? That is a big problem. The leaders will also need to refresh his troops. So at that time, we need a secondary players to put another pair of Garrison commanders in this building. So we have to take over their position and we hold this building and we wait until our lead commanders go back and refresh their troops and reinforce. That is a small trick in our game.
Cool. That's awesome. Is there anything you want to... This is now your time. Is there anything you want to tell the community? Any shout-outs from the kingdom to your kingdom? Anything of like that? Nah, the floor is yours, my man.
Yeah, I would like to say something to my kingdom. I really appreciate all my members' hard working. and we won the KVK, we won the league, and I think all these things are depending on every member's hard work. So I really appreciate my members. I really appreciate the R4 and our king in 1411. Yeah, it's a really nice experience. Yeah, for some other players, I hope everybody could enjoy the game, because it is a game, and especially during this stressful time periods, like a lot of people are going to staying at home and spend their quarantine time at home. So I hope everybody enjoy the game and maybe communicate with your friends in the game. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, well, I need to thank you because we took an hour from your life to chill with us, answer some
I
questions,
really
give us a little bit
appreciate
of
that.
insight into 411K. Chat, you guys got 1 more minute or so to ask something crazy enough that's worth holding him for a little bit longer. There was a question here about leadership commanders. Any thought about that? Use of leadership commanders at all? Like Charles, like Julius Caesar, Mehmed, Freddie. You think they have any space?
I think they only have the space in Sunset Canyon. They don't have the space in KVK or Osiris League.
I tend to agree. I don't think that sending the extra 15% troops in your march will do much at all. You'd rather have a secondary commander. Another question that someone asked here was about lag, whether you guys experienced lag during your games. I would assume yes, like everybody else.
Yes, I agree with you. Everybody will experience these lags during the game. I experienced like 10 times, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like it's something that, you know, to an extent, I asked more because I feel like it's still good to come out from you. But these things, you know, if I'm experiencing them and you're experiencing them, then I'm experiencing them. It's not like, oh, you live in this area of the world, let's make you lag. Or, oh, you're out of this kingdom or that alliance, let's make you lag. It's a global thing, which unfortunately we've been suffering from the beginning of Rise of Kingdoms. But the matter of the fact is we're still here and we're still playing. So there's one point that you said that I want to emphasize on. At the end of the day, whether you like it or not, this is a game. This is meant to be fun. This is meant to be a place where you can get out of your day to day and kind of escape out of that reality for a bit into a game to chill, to enjoy your time. Some folks who take things a little too personal, a little too harshly, a little too negatively. It's to an extent, I understand some of those feelings, but at the same time, remember it's a game, and at the end of the day, some of the people that are getting hated on the most and are being disrespected to the most, when they, you know, take this thing right here, it's called a phone, or they take their iPad or their computer and they close Rise of Kingdoms. Out there, they have a life, they have family, they have kids, they have feelings, and some of them are amazingly successful businessmen. Some of them are insanely rich and live a great life outside of the game. So
yes,
my personal message to the folks here is, if you're try to enjoy yourselves rather than spread hate, rather than spread negativity. Trolling is fun. I had that stage in life too, where I was the 4chan stupid guy who went all over the place and spread negativity just to try to tilt people off. At the end of the day, all you're doing is you're wasting your own time, your own energy on something that'll give you nothing. Just that extra dopamine for a moment of feeling like you're I definitely got him. I definitely pissed him off. But at the end of the day, like, what did you get out of it, right?
Yeah, I agree with you, bro. Yeah.
Well, ARK, thank you very, very much for coming on. The stream was up and down. We had a decent viewership, but I believe a lot more folks will watch the VOD. Usually the VODs just go crazy of these things. Appreciate you being honest with us and opening up about not only strategy, but also like pointers, tips, commander pairings. Hopefully we'll get to see you guys next season doing good. Like you said, KVKs end, KVKs start, alliances change, migrations happen, issues within kingdoms happen. It's how the game works. But hopefully, regardless of all that, next year, we'll see 411k or more 411 alliances as well, making it deep into the match, but into the Osiris League. But the cool thing is, next ARK, I believe, we're gonna get this, or I don't know if we will actually, because maybe it'll be only the younger kingdoms, but your name will be on a building, and that's gonna stay there for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, man. Go enjoy your
Thank
victory.
you too. Thank you. Enjoy your life. Stay safe.
Cheers, man.
Okay, cheers.
Chat, thank you guys very, very much for chilling with us today. The VOD is going to be available momentarily after the stream is done. It'll take a little bit to process, but it is what it is. Listen, 411k, for better or worse, like it or not, they went from A to Z and won this thing clean. For better or worse, bugs, no bugs, allegations, no allegations. If you are able to continually bring in your A game match after match, day after day, and do what they did, they deserve to be at the top. They played a fantastic match against FN, a crazy match against NBA1, a very tight match against LIIG, and they just kept going from there. The champions of ANUBIS, 411k. And hopefully, if you guys have any comments, questions, anything in the VOD, leave it a comment down below and let me know. How do they communicate? Do they focus on one march at a time? Usually, Sean, communication is a Discord chat. It's a Discord voice. They mentioned that they do 2 different voice groups. And you never truly do one march at a time. You always try to focus on all your marches. What was mentioned here that's important for you to take as an answer to that is, players have their offensive roles and their defensive roles. And then based on whichever situation you're in, that's how you know where your marches are at. More often than not, players don't have a march here on the map, a march here on the map, a march here on the map, and a march here on the map, and now they gotta go crazy looking for all over them. Usually you have these roles, and out of those roles, that's how you manage your marches. More often than not, folks keep their marches tight together, maybe between 2 buildings tops, but that's about that. Do we have a JWM interview next? Casey, not a JWM interview, but hopefully if once we manage to sort out a time and date, HKL will come on board. We'll have some of their members, I believe, at least one of their members is going to be here, and he, from my understanding, is the person who is in charge of the Osiris League situation there. Again, I'm still in touch with them and trying to figure all that out. It's going to be an awesome time. It's going to be on this channel, so you make sure you are subscribed to the channel. And of course, hit the like button if you enjoyed the stream. In the VOD, you'll be able to leave comments. You're welcome to leave comments for the folks of HKL. I warn you now, they're not necessarily going to answer all your questions, and you shouldn't get mad at anyone who decides not to answer any questions. Thankfully, nobody asked a question that was sensitive enough for 411k to say we can't discuss this, but I believe for sure some of those questions will come up on the HKL stream, because even I have a few of them, and I'm trying my very best to get an answer. They won't budge. They will not budge, and I love it because they know they still have a Cyrus Invitational to come and potentially next season too. If you guys enjoyed the content, make sure to subscribe and like it. Appreciate every single one of you for being here. Thank you for all the kind words in the chat. I understand those of you who are a little upset about the bug, about all that. We talked about that on the stream as well and gave you my opinion. I'll see you guys sooner rather than later. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, wherever time it is, wherever you're watching this. It's what, Monday? Monday, right? Yeah, so it's weekday. Cool. See you guys sooner rather than later. We'll stream tomorrow. Again, we have Altar of Darkness round 2. Tons of lag. It's going to be exciting. Kingdom 59 against Kingdom 46. That comes up in when? That comes up very quickly. Oh my goodness. What time is this thing? I forgot what time that is. It should be in the early morning for me, which sucks because I'm going to have to wake up and do this and then go to work, which really does blow. What time is this thing? Let's see really quickly. We have an altercation like that. An altercation in 15 hours. We'll be live here. And then hopefully, whenever HKL can, we'll get that done too. See you guys sooner rather than later. Take care and have a great rest of your week. And I said that already, but I can't leave because I love you guys. Peace.